Welcome back to the Metal Lounge. I'm Matt, joined as always by Forrest. Grab yourself a drink, pull up a chair, and join us as we chat shit about all things metal. How's it going, man? You doing good?
Yeah, doing pretty good, man.
Nice one, man. You been up to much recently?
Just overheating and watching too much Dexter.
I know the feeling of overheating. Not so much about watching Dexter. Why are you watching Dexter? Have you watched it before?
Yeah, I'm rewatching it with my girlfriend at the moment. It's fucking good,
has
man.
Has she not watched it before?
No, she'd never seen it before. Like,
how?
Where has she been all these 10 years? Well, there is a new season out at the moment, but we're not up.
I haven't even watched
yet.
That actually. No spoilers.
No, I haven't seen it either.
No. It's like, this is spoilers for the end of Dexter, but like it ends with like him disappearing and then he like did he die?
Well, he was too big to die, man. They couldn't just kill him
but
off.
Did he die?
I think he was like, it was like undecided. It was left to the viewer to be like, okay, he's gone. Is he gone forever, or is he coming back?
And now it's decided he's back.
Yeah, he's back. It's like one of those OG series, isn't it?
It's not as bad as like the Prison Break one, where like the end of Prison Break is literally like he has brain cancer and then he inoperable brain cancer, so he sacrifices himself so his like wife can escape, wherever it was. So he's like dead, and even if he wasn't dead, he's double dead from the cancer. Yeah. And then season 5 he's just like alive, and they're like, he didn't have cancer. It's like
that script's never really had much integrity. Really, it was like, oh, the first thing he's in prison, it's like, oh, now he's in prison in another country.
Prison too.
Yeah, it's like
prison next.
So I don't think they really care about plot holes and integrity that much.
Yeah.
But yeah,
just kill him and come back again.
I've been loving there's nothing like getting into a good series though. Just like sinking your teeth in.
True, man.
I always feel like just happier knowing I've got something to watch.
Knowing you've got some psychopath killing people on your screen.
Exactly,
that's what you want to see. Yeah.
Speaking of psychopaths, did you see Limp Bizkit brought out some pro wrestlers the other night?
What?
To the song Full Nelson.
Sorry, you're gonna have to explain this to me. They did what?
Yeah, so you know the song Full Nelson? It's like a wrestling move. They you get knocked the fuck out. They got some pro wrestlers on stage the other day.
Really?
So like while they were playing,
well,
it was
like having a match or something. Like
they were just like having it out for each other, doing like wrestling moves on stage. I was like, that's so fucking
that's
cool.
Wacky as fuck. But
it's
like
crazy
in a
how
good way.
big Limp Bizkit still are to like pull off shit like that all the time.
Limp Bizkit, one of those bands that like you thought would have dropped off because they did nothing for like 10 years.
They were like, do you know what my theory is? Is they've always been hated massively. Like they're like one of those like infamous, outrageous, hated bands.
Nickelback vibes.
Yeah, well, yeah, not quite on that level, but yeah, they're not far behind. But because they had that massive hate and that massive love, that sustained them. Like even Bring Me were like massively hated.
That's
like,
very
Falling
true.
in Reverse. Like the more hate you have, the more power you have.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy because they like didn't they do like Results May Vary was like what 2006 or something?
Is that the Green album?
Yeah. Then they did like
underrated.
They did like nothing. Released that single on Lil Wayne. No, they did Gold Cobra. Then they released that single on Lil Wayne's record label. They signed to that and then never released anything. And then like 8 years later they just dropped like their latest album and they're just back all of a sudden.
Yeah, well I think it was like Wes Borland, like not really wanting to be in the band, their guitarist.
Oh, was it? I didn't know that.
Then like he just like came back in and out. And then,
what's his problem? Man?
You know, I think they came back every now and again to do a festival, but then they were like, let's make an album. It's not that great. They're still sort of living off the past, but like their albums are so big and so well loved. Like, you know, they're a behemoth in the metal scene now. There's no stopping them, man.
Nah, man.
They're not going anywhere anytime soon.
They've been around for like fucking like 20. What was it? 96 their first album or something like that.
Yeah,
it's been like nearly 30 years.
It's
which
mental.
Makes me feel really old.
Well, you weren't there at the inception.
I was
of
there,
Biscuit.
man. I was like -1 year old. I was thinking about it.
They basically made that blueprint, really, didn't they? Of kind of like jockey, kind of like cheeky metal with like kind of a sort of more like, they don't really have a metal aesthetic. If you look at them.
They're like it's like rap. It's kind of mainstream, but then like new metal was kind of mainstream back in the like early
white
2000s.
Rapper metal.
Yeah.
like a mute
wrestler metal.
Yeah, wrestler metal.
WWE metal.
Yeah, and do you know why that was relevant as well with the wrestling? Is their song "Rolling" was someone's entrance music in the original WWE.
They played WrestleMania. Like
they played WrestleMania, and they came out in the car and stuff. I remember playing the PS2 game, and that was like you could have that song as your entrance music, and you could have like the car coming out and Limp Bizkit playing.
When I was younger, like the wrestling games always had like the best soundtracks. You had like on like all the older games, you'd always have like fucking. I discovered so many bands that I still like to this day because of that.
Me too, man.
So sick.
Yeah, it's up there with like the Tony Hawks and like Guitar
Tony
Heroes.
Hawks was so good as well. Tony Hawk was like more of like that. You had hip hop and then like the punky stuff, and the wrestling ones were like they did have some hip hop, but then they have stuff like Rise Against and like Blackstone Cherry.
Do you remember that song from American Wasteland that was like, I've got an ice cream headache, ice cream headache, I've got an ice cream headache.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I played that
ice
game
cream headache.
I think that was the album, the game where they were like, the album, the Tony Hawk's American Wasteland album.
Sick album.
Didn't they have like big like emo bands covering punk songs? That's where like Mike M were doing and like Fall Out Boy were like covering like punk songs. I might be making that up, but I feel like Jamie, pull that up. But I feel like that was a thing. Like
I can't remember that.
I swear, like I remember seeing like on my like PS2 like box it said that. The other one, I don't know if you ever played MTX Motor Tracks when you were younger.
No,
like,
I've never had the privilege.
They had like 2 Slipknot songs. It was like up
really?
their first
That's
album.
fucking edgy.
It was like maybe Wait and Bleed and something else. I don't know what else it would have been. Eyeless maybe, something like that. I just remember playing MTX Motor Tracks on PS2 and just like loving the Slipknot. That was like my exposure to Slipknot.
You didn't know how good you had it.
I was like, let's fucking go.
I remember playing what was it? Burnout on PSP.
Burnout's got a sick soundtrack as well.
Red Flag by Billy Elliot or something.
Oh yeah, red flag, wave never meant that.
I remember like just playing that in the car, being like, I'm fucking living the dream.
That was on like one of the Kerrang albums, I think. I used to fucking love the kids these days. Would never know.
Kerrang's finished now.
Kerrang's dead.
Did you see?
Yeah, rest in peace, Kerrang.
We haven't even spoken about
shout out Kerrang.
Yeah,
yo, pouring out for Kerrang.
This goes to Kerrang.
just spill your coffee on us. Yo, shout out Kerrang.
This Kerrang is too sofa for my leg.
Oh man, that actually like upset me a little bit. I used to fucking love Kerrang when I was younger. Like I got into music from Kerrang. I used to flip through the music channels. So I was watching like the pop stuff. I remember switching on Kerrang and Numb Encore, Limp Bizkit, Jay-Z was on. And because I wasn't into, I think the most alternative I went was like dad rock, like 80s rock, like Alice Cooper and like Guns N' Roses from my dad. And he wasn't like that into it. He only had like a few. And Numb Encore's on and I'm like, okay, I like the rap stuff. And then Chester starts singing. I'm like, yo, what? And I go to like, this is like 2006, maybe 2007.
It's like awaken something inside
YouTube
you.
had just started existing. So I got on YouTube and I was looking up all their music videos. I remember like showing like my grandparents like one step closer and just like, yeah, that's nice. It's just fucking
I remember
what was probably the heaviest thing they've ever heard in their entire life at the time.
I remember my nan was looking after me and like I was like just liked being on a computer and I didn't really know what I was doing. I just like was like pulling up spreadsheets and like pulling up like Paint and there was this like weird like DJ program and I like put loads of like heavy music on like my nan's computer. My nan's partner, like I remember him getting really pissed off because I was just listening to Spit It Out like 10 times in a row and like trying to get all the lyrics like going home in the basket.
How old were you?
I was really young. I think I was about 9.
Imagine like a 9-year-old sat at the computer just like rehearsing Slipknot. You should never give a damn in the first place.
I just had it like on fucking loop.
Did you get it, man? Could you do it now? I'm not going to make you do it now.
I'm not going to do it now. All I remember is going home in a basket.
The lyrics of that song are fucking wild. Weird song.
I've never actually looked them up. I only know them from how they sound. Do you remember they had that dubstep bit in? Like the that's like the fucking earliest like record of dubstep you can find.
It's like a sample, man. That first album is like littered with samples. Like the amount of stuff that's like, I can't remember the exact ones, but you'll have like...
Do they sample dubstep from the future?
Yeah. Well, no, it's like I'm gonna completely get this wrong if anyone knows what it is, but like they sampled like old like jazz and blues stuff as well as just like random stuff. So I think like one of them, a blues song maybe. I think one of them is like a blues song.
The
they just sped it. Yeah, that's like I think it is.
Really?
It's just like edited. There's a video on YouTube that goes through like all of the samples and the originals where they come from, and there's some really surprising.
It's weird.
ones.
Like one refrain is like drum and bass, isn't it?
Yeah, the eyeless. Yeah.
No. In the same song.
Oh, in that song.
And then Spit It Out, and then one of them's like wop 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 wop.
Yeah, the eyeless one I think was.
You're not telling me that's a jazz song.
I think eyeless was or something like that. It might already be a jungle or drum and bass one.
You're
one of them is.
Shit, man.
One of them is. I'll Jamie, pull that up.
We really need a Jamie.
I'll look into it, but I'm fairly sure that was the case. There's like there's a Night of the Living Dead sample, the 1960 film as well. That's in there randomly. I think there's a Scarface thing in there as well. Like one of the screams, like layered scream, is like a scream from like I think it was Scarface.
That makes sense, really, because that time period, you had like hip hop bands like pulling out loads of samples. I think it's a bit before that in the 80s, really. Like the Beastie Boys, they were massive for it.
Well, Beastie Boys were like the ones who like started sampling. Really,
I read something somewhere like if it wasn't for them, there wouldn't be like copyrights as we know it now.
So yeah, the whole legal system had to change to sort of catch up with. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't exclusively them, but they were like one of the biggest people to be doing it.
Give it to them, man.
All right, they were the biggest people.
Hats off.
Yeah, man,
they've got their name attached to that legacy forever. But yeah, I want to talk to you about like kind of electronic bands. So like with Slipknot, like I suppose they didn't really have much electronics. They had like a bit of D&B though, that's coming back now. But like it's weird, like you have like bands like Crossfaith and like Bring Me, who had that like remix album. Korn had that like dubstep album. Like it's weird, like the progression of electronics and metal. It's always kind of been akin, but then it kind of goes in and out of trend, doesn't it?
Yeah, you sort of had that like in the new metal phase with like Slipknot, Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit. They have like,
who do you reckon was the most electronic band you can think of, like from that new metal era?
Well, what I was going to say was a lot of them. I think bands like probably like Static X or like Spineshank. There's like smaller ones. I think they
Linkin
had a lot
Park
of like
pretty electronic.
Yeah, what I was going to say is like they weren't really electronic in the way like bands were like Crossfaith and Shikari. It wasn't synths and stuff as much as it was like sampling and noise, like electronic elements, but more like Linkin Park had a lot of the drum, like the electronic drums, like on their stuff, and like glitches and stuff like that. Yeah, but you weren't having like
Numb, which was like kind of like choir vocals.
That's true. You have like but it's more. I say that's more like they're more like DJ type stuff, a lot of scratching, a lot of like
the DJ,
like
what's the DJ called in Linkin Park?
Mr. Hahn.
Mr. Hahn.
Apparently, I read this is a segue, but I read there was a interview, or Mike Schneider was talking about this in somewhere, that said there was this like some crazy like record exec like early in their career that didn't want Mike to like do any rapping in the band, and like one of his other ideas was that Mr. Hahn should wear a lab coat and be like a scientist or something.
That's so funny.
Like right before they like got, or when they got signed or something, before they got signed.
God,
so they could have had like Mr. Hahn in like the lab coat.
In an alternative universe that
existed. Yeah. I feel like they should bring it back now, man. It's not too late.
They should. That was a good idea.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that whole scene, I feel like it's sort of like I think bands like The Prodigy, I guess, are probably like the inception of like turning rock. They were more on the electronic side, but they were like,
I feel like they were molded in the electronic scene. Like their songs were played in nightclubs and stuff, and the rave scene and shit.
And then you had bands like Crossfaith's a big
Linkin
example.
Park weren't really that big in the rave scene.
They were, man. Everyone's raving out to like By Myself.
I reckon they played that Mr. Hahn song at a rave.
Cure for the Itch.
Like and afters. Cure for the Itch.
Wow. I like when I was younger, I used to always skip that song. I feel really bad about that. I don't skip it anymore. I feel bad for Mr. Hahn. Yeah, I'm like, sorry man, this is actually kind of cool.
Don't you mean Dr. Hahn?
Dr. Hahn. But yeah, so I feel like bands like Crossfaith, their like big thing in the West was covering the Prodigy song. They did Omen,
that's true. Yeah, loads of bands have covered that. It's crazy.
Yeah, Omen was like the song to cover if you were like an electronic band.
Default cover song.
Yeah. So going into that, like I think what the shift was using like the more electronic music, like dance synths. Like you had like Sawtooth synths and like proper like synth leads rather than having it in the backing, so that you'd have like the guitars and drums and bass like playing chords or riffs or whatever. Yeah. And you've got like a proper like a dancey rhythm above it, and you'd have like dance sections and stuff like that.
It's like the arrangement, isn't it? Like Linkin Park, well, their earlier stuff was like, the guitars and the drums kind of like drive the song, whereas like with their later stuff, when they went more electronic, it was like the synths were like the lead instruments,
100%,
driving the main melody and So I get what you mean. Like that new metal scene was all very, even though it was all very expansive, like it was quite raw and organic.
It was more. It was bands having like a bit of electronic stuff, because you got to remember as well the availability of electronic stuff and synths. You were still pretty much on analog at that time. You still had to play the synths. True, yeah. And then with like stuff like Massive, like the music software, the plugins, stuff like that coming out, and people being able to make. I mean, I might be getting that completely wrong. Massive might have been out way sooner, but I feel like the availability of it became more and more accessible. And as that happened, it was so much easier for bands to put the synth stuff in. But yeah, so that whole like electronic music scene, I feel like I mean, you probably know a little bit more about it than me because you got more. I know that like Shikari, Crossfaith, Icy Stars, and obviously like, all those bands were doing remix albums.
That was a bit
later.
I wonder who bridged that gap, because like in the mid 2000s, like, I can't think of like, it was kind of those new metal bands were like expanding, and then metalcore was sort of spawning.
I'll tell you what it was.
What was it?
Linkin Park's Reanimation album, 2002, which funny enough was the 22nd anniversary of the album was yesterday from when we're recording this.
I agree. I think that's a really important,
revolutionary album. Who the fuck drops a debut album, sells like 20 million copies where they did? I think it's like the best debut album of the 2000s, and it still might be because obviously with streaming coming out, people sell
it's
less.
One of the most successful debut albums ever.
The next album you drop is a fucking remix album. Every song featuring like rappers like no one's ever heard, or like at least like to the mainstream audience no one's ever heard of, and have them all be like weird electronic like remixes and stuff. What an insane thing to do.
Very
22
bold.
tracks long.
But then that set the standard. Like, you wouldn't have had like Korn maybe like experimenting with that dubstep album when the dubstep
Skrillex
wave came around.
Was it with Skrillex?
Yeah, Skrillex. Yeah, I think he did. No, I think
they did the songs.
Yeah, he did at least 2 or 3.
I think I've only heard the Skrillex ones, like the.
It's a really good album, actually. I think for all the bands that kind of like, what's the expression? Like,
I don't know.
touch the water, like.
Touch the water.
Not touch the water.
All those bands that sat at the table.
Oh, what is it?
Drank
like
the water.
Skinny dipped in dubstep.
What the fuck are you talking about? Dip their toes in.
Dip their toes in. That's it. Yeah. From all the bands that dip their toes in dubstep, I think Korn did it the best with their Skrillex album. She had so many bands that, like, if you look back on it, like I think Lights had like a dubstep album that like wasn't very like successful.
I feel like Korn lost a lot of like credibility with a lot of their like OG fans though with that. I know a lot of like metalheads were like, what the fuck is this? And I kind of get it. I feel like older fans don't like electronic stuff as much. I know people complain about bands, or back in like the early 2010s, like late 2000s, people like their metalcore to be like pure, like Killswitch Engage sort of stuff. Like,
well, I think that Korn kind of like had a few albums that weren't as well received as like their earlier albums. Like, they have a really good track record actually, Korn, but like when that dubstep album came out, I think they needed a bit of a refresh anyway.
Sure.
Because, you know, they've been going for like 20-30 years at that point. Well, not 30 years, about 20 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that Reanimation album, like, it kind of carved the way for bands to remix their albums. It's still happening today. Like the Bring Horizon cut up album of Suicide Season, that probably was somewhat inspired. We know how massively like inspired Bring Me Off from Linkin Park. Even very recently, Bad Omens have that like remix album with like maybe that wouldn't have happened without Reanimation.
That one's quite cool because it's like a soundtrack album. It's like remixes, it's new songs, and it's like.
I like that it's not all remixes.
It's not a remix album. It's like what they call like an OST, like as if it's like a soundtrack to a movie or something. It's a really creative way. I know people didn't receive that well. They didn't really understand what it was.
Well, if you don't know this history of like of looking at bands that have done that in the past, you kind of just look at it as a new album.
People thought it was a new album. Yeah, like this is shit.
You have
and
to
it's like, it's not. It's a different thing.
Yeah, you have to kind of like separate it from like it's not a new album.
You sort of need the original material.
It's like
to
DLC.
Appreciate.
It's like the DLC of and it makes sense because that album was so massive.
Yeah.
That what's it called?
Death of Peace of Mind.
Death of Peace of Mind and Hybrid Theory was so massive. So like it makes sense to have that remix album on the back of an album that's so successful, because then you don't have the pressure to play new songs from a new album, and you're not really going to play many of the remix ones, if any. It's kind of like a way to release music, still keep the record label and the fans happy with new music, and still and have a longer tour cycle of that really successful album. So
and you get to be creative without, like you said, like taking really like the big risks of like, if you release a whole new album that was like a completely different genre, it's such a big risk. But if you do like a remix type thing, you can sort of get away with using that creativity.
You can experiment and learn stuff to put into your actual like next album. And I think that like if a band's album didn't do well, they probably wouldn't have the privilege of experimenting and doing a remix album. So like, okay guys, let's make a sick album now. Like last album didn't do as well as we'd hoped. They're not going to be like, let's do a remix album. So I think it's an indicator of success as well.
That's very
true. Getting at.
Yeah. I feel like you definitely always need the context as well of the original stuff. Because imagine if you like said to someone, there's just like the biggest band, like rock band in history, go listen to like Linkin Park, and they put on like a remix of like Forgotten, and they're like, what? Or like High Voltage or something. Yeah. Same with Bad Omens. This is one of the biggest bands in metal right now. You put on like an OST song.
Yeah, I think you do take the risk of confusing influencing people, and that's why I think you have to be a certain level as well for it to land properly.
But like nowadays, I mean, with Twitter, like you get corrected so quickly. I saw people being like, "This is a shit new song." People are like, "It's a fucking OST, man. Like, stop being an idiot." Like,
yeah, but then they're such a big band, they can get away with it. Yeah. Whereas if they're a smaller band, then the headline might be like, "Oh, this is an unsuccessful album," and like it is an indicator of success. And I think you have the privilege of doing that. But yeah, I think from that era, like one of my favorite bands that kind of did electronic metal well was Icy Stars, which you mentioned earlier. I think they're like a really pivotal band. And speaking of Bad Omens, I think they were massively influenced by Icy Stars.
Big time.
If you look at like the vocal production and the like how smooth and like clear the album is, like that album Treehouse, like
what an album.
Yeah, fucking brilliant album. It's one of my favorite albums of all time, actually. 100%. Like it's really good quality. The Deaf Piece of Mind actually reminds me a little bit of that.
It's like that. It's like the like you said, like the silky smooth pop vocals, like crystal clear production, like gorgeous. It just feels beautiful. Like you can like feel like you can like visualize the sort of like the
and
energy
the electronics aren't like in the background.
No,
they're at the forefront, but they're woven in.
And
nicely.
You've still got like a hard hitting like metal stuff,
yeah,
like running with scissors and stuff like that.
The world class chorus. You've still got the crunch, but it doesn't overdo anything. It kind of blends everything nicely in a beautifully presented package.
100%.
And that's why like I think the Treehouse is quite pivotal.
They didn't really get their like flowers, Icy Stars. I feel like
they
released such a good album. It didn't really get as big as it deserved, and obviously they had that massive hiatus. They're back now, but I like their new stuff, but it's not as good as Treehouse. Treehouse is?
It's Treehouse, yeah.
Treehouse, yeah. It's not as good as that album, and it's just they've just lost their energy. They've lost like the momentum.
I would keep an eye out for them. I actually feel like they will get their flowers.
I hope so. They deserve it,
because they're quite respected in the scene. They've still got a good like 300,000 monthly listeners. Like, and the singles have done okay, but it's not like an EP. It's not an album. When they release the album, I think that will kind of decide if they've had their moment and they didn't quite make the most out of it, or if their moment's still yet to come. So you never know.
I'd argue they have one of the most attractive frontmen in like all of music history. He's like what's his name?
Ridiculously attractive. I've forgotten his name.
But he's like one of the most like the best looking men ever. His fucking hair.
That video in Calm Snow. Like, that video as well is unbelievable.
Such a good video. I really like I think it's the Running with Scissors one, where they're like in Asia and stuff, and they're like playing like a festival and just like he's like coming out like a waterfall and stuff or whatever. But like I'm surprised they didn't blow up more because of that. Devon, that's it. Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't blow up more because of like that as well.
Well, they did get quite big, but they didn't get like massive. I think it was actually a bit ahead
they had
of
the drama, didn't they, as well? Because they had like the first stuff was with the screaming, the guy was screaming, and then they changed their style. They went less like heavy.
Did they like kick him out or something
like that? I wasn't into them when it all happened. I got into them with Treehouse. I think you showed it to me actually like fucking like 8 years ago or whatever. So they had some sort of drama where they kicked him out, so the sound changed. There was big drama, and like then they sort of didn't do anything after the big like Treehouse. So it's like
such a shame, man. Like I think it was ahead of its time actually. I think if it came out like 5 years later, it would have like been it could have been. I think that it could have been as big as Deaf a Piece of Mind.
Honestly,
like,
it holds up today with like anything everyone's putting out. Maybe there's like some like slightly new songwriting tricks that they don't have.
I like how like bold and creative it is as well. Like they experiment with hip hop, but they do it tastefully. Like that song Mobbing Out.
You're mobbing out.
I really like that. It's like it's a refreshing like different direction to the rest of the album, and like just every song has its own sort of world, but it all like goes together. But if you haven't heard it, I'd highly recommend that album. 100%. It still holds up today.
Metal Lounge's official recommendation of the week. I guess that's a section we're doing.
Let's do it.
Sick album. Listen to it. And Reanimation by Linkin Park. If you somehow haven't heard that already at this point. But I think that out of that whole scene, one of the bands, I guess one of the only bands still doing it in that same way is Crossfaith. Like I feel like they're still going like heavy with that. Like they're like proper
I checked out their latest album recently. Actually,
what did you think?
You know what? I really liked it. I feel like they're between a rock and a hard place a bit though.
Between a rock and an electronic place.
Because they. They're how long have they been going for now? Like they
2004 or something in Japan, 2002.
Oh, really? I didn't realize they were going that long. But they sprouted to success in like that dubstep era.
They blew up in the West with like the Zion EP, which is like 2010 or something like that. 2012.
That was it. Yeah. So that genre unfortunately died a quick death, and that made them a bit less relevant. They still stayed really relevant. relevant. still stay very reverent.
They're very reverent. I like their religious undertones.
They still stay very relevant. I can't say that. But I think that's due to how loyal Japanese fans are and stuff, and like how there's not that many massive bands in Japan, so that they look after their own there. As I'm sure you can.
Their first like few albums or EP, I can't remember. I'm not too across their early stuff, but they're like, it was like much more metalcore with like electronic in the background. It was very much more like heavier stuff, and they went a bit more like the dancey stuff.
But yeah, what I was going to say about their new album, like I did really like it, and it's like it's kind of what you'd want from Crossfaith, but also you can't help but think like maybe they should try and progress their sound a bit more. But then I think they're down if they do, down if they don't. Like if they tried something like a bit more poppy, a bit more commercial, then they'd get like hated on. And if they were like, you know, it does sound a little bit dated, like the production's up to date and stuff, but it's kind of like, you know, everyone had their fix of that like 10 years ago, but I think it will sort of come back into fashion like everything does, but it's still a little bit early for that, and it's kind of in that middle ground, isn't it?
I think they've decided to focus more on Japan now than the like other countries, and I think that's why they've kept that sound, because in Japan it's much more of a fresh sound. Like not many bands are doing that, and I feel like with like it was that EP, the album after it, and the one after that, they were going full on, like they were playing the UK all the time, they were doing tours and stuff. Now they're like very Japan focused, they're releasing music for Japan, touring Japan all the time. I feel like their latest album like really leans into that. They've got like some like big like Japanese names on it and stuff as well, like Masato from Cold Rain, Ma from Sim and stuff like that. And Mikey from Wargasm's on it as well, which is a wizard.
I saw that. Yeah, I swear
one.
Wargasm are on every fucking album as features, man. They're definitely industry plants for sure. Like,
I ain't saying anything, but yeah,
I don't like Wargasm.
Nah, me neither. Not my sort of thing at all. But yeah, that album, I like how they've joined. It's weird because they like the rest of the song like sort of sounds the same, and then they'll have like each song has a really heavy section in it. I don't know if you noticed that. Like
I do
it'll
like
be a normal Crossfaith song, and at the end it just has like some really like heavy like breakdown.
I like the two songs. It's like Headshot and the one after. That's how I think that they kind of have their edge when they're a bit heavier, because they do it really well.
They do, and
the electronics sound nice to me, but they're not actually anywhere near the most popular songs. Like the more popular ones were ones with like choruses and like
that's it.
Choruses.
They've got
Xeno's the most popular one, is it? Xeno?
The album, you mean?
Oh, is that what the album's called?
That's an yeah.
What's like the second
the
song?
green one, Xeno. You're asking questions now. Is it the first one called Xeno? Devil's Party was a big one. That was a big sing-along one.
I don't know it well enough.
But they went into that sort of singing vibe from the album. They didn't have they barely had any singing on the album before it. It was all screaming.
Yeah,
like, pretty
that's
much.
true. They had that song with Benji that was massive.
Oh, the Skin that was on that album as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I suppose they are.
Well, that was the album. Caleb Shomo from Beartooth was on the album as well.
Oh,
I think In Devil's Party maybe.
Oh,
I
cool.
think so. Like that was the album where they decided to go like more singy, like, and that was the one when they were sort of blowing up like in the West and stuff more.
Yeah.
And they've sort of kept that going with them. I think as well, like Kenta like just got better at singing and stuff as well. It was like getting more confident with it. I guess they decided to put it in. But yeah, man, they're I really like that latest album, and I think they're one of those bands that like they sort of defined a genre in a way, like in their own right, which is really, really cool. I've got some history of Crossfaith.
Haven't you partied with them or
several times? Yeah, I was trying to figure out the way to like to say it, but like one of my best mates, he's known Crossfaith for 11 years now, maybe 12 years. It was their first ever tour, maybe even longer than that. It was their first ever tour in the UK, and he like he was like, I can't remember if he was into Japanese culture before or he got into it because of Crossfaith, but like he learned a bit of Japanese and spoke to them, and I just got to be friends time and time, like after seeing them a bunch of times.
Yeah,
ended up moving to Japan, and then like so just built this friendship up, and it's got to a point, and since like 2015 was the first time I saw them, 2014 maybe. Every time they play the UK, or every time I was in Japan or we were in Japan, we'd always like go backstage and like go to their shows and stuff.
Nice.
And like hang out mainly with Kazu, the guitarist. So we'd always like, you know, go out to like a club or like bars and stuff and whatever. I've got so many like funny stories. Firstly, they're like the nicest guys, like so welcoming, like always like happy to like sort us out and stuff. But yeah, I have so many crazy stories, man. Like the first time I properly like met here, I met them briefly in the UK once, like in here actually. They played like the Horn, now Chalk. Like we went backstage and just said hi briefly, but it was more like hi in passing. Yeah. And then when I was in Japan for a holiday, the second time I went, we saw them in Kyoto. Kyoto. They were playing like some venue in Kyoto, and afterwards we like Kazi was like, yeah, I'll come meet you guys and we'll go like clubbing or something afterwards. So
he's like the wreckhead in the band, isn't he?
They're all wreckheads, really. Oh, really? I think he's actually one of the more tame ones.
Oh, really?
But like from what I've seen and heard, but like he was like, oh yeah, I'll come meet you guys. Like, I got to finish up the band stuff. Like they were. It's weird how it works in Japan because bigger bands will support smaller bands, like to like help them out and stuff. Oh. So they were supporting this band called Shadows, who are a big band in Japan. They're nowhere near as big as Crossfaith are, but Crossfaith were the support for Shadows, and they're playing like a 500 cap room or something. It wasn't big, despite the fact that they can play like thousands and thousands. But they so it's kind of cool how they do that. And sometimes you have like a band will do a tour and do like 20 dates, and they'll have like 2 supports for each date. So
that's really interesting.
You get regional supports. That's like a really common thing. So a band will be like, oh, in Osaka we have this big band, but like big band. So it'd be like, say for example, Brim and the Horizon played the UK. In London they had Architects. Then in Sheffield they had While She Sleeps. And in Manchester they had another big band or whatever. It's like that sort of thing. So they'd have like a different big band for like each like date or couple of dates, which is really cool. But it sucks when like the band you want to see isn't at your date, which happened to me for a few times. Yeah, I think like I can't remember who I saw, but I think like Cold Rain was supporting them in like Nagoya, and then in Osaka we had a band I'd never heard of, and I was like, I want Cold Rain. And like but yeah, so he was like, yeah, I'll come meet you guys like afterwards. We ended up going to this like, there's this like British chain of pubs called Hub in Japan. It's like, oh yeah, of course you've been to Hub. I'm saying that as if you haven't been to Japan and seen this. But yeah, there's like, obviously as you know, there's this chain of pubs. You know what Hub's like.
Those are local in Osaka.
It's where like all the foreigners go, and like it's where Japanese people go who want to speak English or like chat up girls.
Oh, they want a Namba.
Nampa, chat up girls and stuff.
So my Japanese is rusty.
Yeah, it's all good. And then so we went to this hub, and I remember it being crazy because there was like something going on. There's like an ambulance outside to go pick someone up because they were like too fucked up or something.
Were they filling up the ambulance on tap?
Yeah. And then like we were there to like close. It was like 1 a.m. or something. It closed. And we were like, oh, is he even coming? And then out of nowhere, he just rocks up in a taxi. And he's like, yo, he didn't speak much English at that point, and I didn't speak any Japanese then. Like I can sort of speak now, like to them, but back then I had nothing.
Back then,
And so he was like, we get in a taxi.
He was like, Sugoi, this and that.
We were like getting a taxi, and he's like, I know this club, this like cool club to go to. And we're like, cool, sounds good. And like having like whatever in the taxi. And I remember we get to there, and like we were like, it was like, I don't know, 3,000-4,000 yen or whatever. It's not like expensive, but it was like 20-30 quid. We were just being like, we were just like, how much do we owe you, man? I remember him turning around in like English being like, don't worry, I'm rockstar. and I just paid for it. And
that's such a good quote.
And then he paid for our entry to the club and stuff as well. And like bought a bunch of, we ended up buying him drinks as like trying to say thank you. But he was just such a down to earth, like nice guy. I remember we were like talking like just to like people in the club and whatever, and he was like probably trying to like big me up to like get Japanese girls and stuff. He goes to the Japanese girls and like, are you like cool like foreign guy and stuff like that. And then I tried to like hype him up back, be like, oh, he's in a really cool band, and then like, he's like, nah, shut. He's literally like, don't talk about it. I don't need the credit. And he was just such a really cool guy, and yeah, we had like such a good night.
Probably like bonded then.
Yeah, so I've got a picture somewhere, but I don't know where it is, of like us like outside a club.
I'll have to get it up.
Yeah, I have to find it. I don't know if I can find. I probably shouldn't actually, because I don't want to like put up without his approval and stuff. Yeah. But there's like there's a picture of me, my friend Sam, the one in Japan, a few other people we knew. And Kazu outside the club in like bright daylight of us like all like have taken like a group picture at like 7 a.m, just like all looking absolutely destroyed.
Oh my god.
So that was like my introduction to like meeting them and hanging out. And then fast forward a few years, it was in the UK in London. Crossfaith played at the Headline Electric Ballroom. Yeah. And they had same thing, we had guest lists like backstage. I was going with Sam again, friend from Japan, or friend from England, but lived in Japan. Yeah. And I was going with my ex-girlfriend as well, who wasn't into like she like knew them obviously, and I think she maybe knew a few songs or whatever, but it wasn't really her like scene as much. Yeah. But she wanted to come anyway just to like hang out and whatever. So like we were drinking like tequila like all day. I think we bought a bottle of a full bottle of tequila at like 2 p.m. or something, and we were like drinking like to like get ready for this. We get there, obviously. This is what I like, how like welcoming like Kazu and like the band are, because we get there and we hadn't actually got I think we asked to add my ex like last second. We were like, oh hey, can you stick another guest list spot down like on the day? And he was like, yeah, sure, no problem. Got the guest list spot. We get there. Really only nice. Sam and I have like access all areas. Like my ex didn't get one. Literally just walked out to go see cousin. Was like, can you just sort of pass out? 2 minutes later he just comes out and like has one sorted. So nice. And I was like, he was like just really welcoming and just really nice about it. And but then like this night, like it was really fun, but like it was just messy and dramatic. After drinking tequila, we all got like wasted.
Tequila drunk like hits different as well. Man. Like I swear it makes people more like emotional.
Yeah.
Like I actually like swore never to drink tequila again when I had it in London once. Yeah. I don't actually remember what happened. I just remember like throwing up and like I was throwing up so much that I just couldn't throw up anymore, and I was just throwing up like air,
man.
But yeah, tequila's not good.
It's horrible.
But yeah, what happened?
And so loads of stuff happened, but like one of the funniest stories, and it's like it's kind of embarrassing but it's kind of funny in hindsight, is that we were absolutely wasted, and there was quite a few people backstage there who were like in like other like big bands and stuff like that. It was quite like a popular event, and the guys, for a couple of guys from Shikari were there.
Cool.
Rao and Rory were there.
Yeah,
so they were we were sort of like we were hanging out backstage, and Sam had actually met them previously. They were in Japan doing like some tour or something. He helped out with translation or whatever, like for like a brief period of time. So he knew them, but like it was sort of just been, oh hey man, how's it going? Like, oh, we saw you, da da da. Yeah, oh good to see you, whatever.
Yeah.
And then my girlfriend at the time, my ex, like, oh, it's funny. We can laugh about it now. we were sort of it was me, her, and Rao, the singer of Shikari, who's such a nice guy. I want to point out.
He's a lovely guy.
Really nice guy. I can't remember what we were chatting about. This was years ago, but he was just being really pleasant. And out of nowhere, she just goes like, she looks at him and goes, oh, wait a minute, I know you. And I was like, oh God, here we go. And she's like, you're Raf from Enter Shikari? And he goes like, oh, actually it's pronounced Rao, but yeah, I am. And she goes, no, I'm pretty sure it's pronounced rat. Like telling how to pronounce his own fucking name. God. And he obviously just looked at us like, no, he was actually really nice about it. But I think he was like, anyway, good like talking to you guys. Like good to see you, man. He was like, I'm done with this conversation. And I was just like, what? Like,
you shouldn't have got the backstage pass, man.
I know, I should have left her outside. But it was fine otherwise. And then we just ended up, I can't remember how, we ended up in their green room. It was literally just the three of us and Crossfaith. Like it was me, Sam, my ex, and then Crossfaith, their manager and their touring guitarist as well. And we were just sat in their green room after their set or before their set, I can't even remember, and we were just chatting and stuff, and we were having like a really intense debate about what was better, KFC or Family Mart fried chicken in Japan. I wasn't vegan at this time. I remember us having like an intense debate.
Surely it's KFC.
With like I said Family Mart fried chicken, they all said KFC as well. But like we had like
because it was new to you,
point of contention. That's why I said that's why they liked KFC, because you do have KFC in Japan, but like. But anyway, that's why I just remember that being like a. I've
actually never heard that story before.
And then when we finished, we after they played and stuff, we left to go to we went to like an after party type thing.
Yeah,
I remember me and Ken, vocalist of Crossfaith, just the two of us were like smoking a joint, like walking through like Camden together. Like, but I can't remember what we were talking about because at this point, like
that's where I threw up with my tequila.
Was it? Yeah, Camden's a place for it, man. I remember like my Japanese was better, but like still not good, so I could not hold a conversation in Japanese, and like Ken's English is like, it's not bad, it's good, but like in hindsight I can't like imagine what we were talking about because it was just the two of us talking. It wasn't a long walk, it was from like the back of Electric Ballroom round to like the Black Hearts, like a 5-minute walk. But I was just, in hindsight I'm just like, what the hell were we talking about? Like, I did not have good enough language in my head. I'm like, I spoke Japanese for most of it, but I was like, that can't be possible because I wasn't good enough then.
Well, maybe it was just doing that polite thing, you were just saying like
just
Japanese
saying random
words.
shit, and
konnichiwa sugoi,
and he was just like, more I can't literally.
I feel like
remember.
the language barrier isn't as strong when you've had a few drinks. You kind of just like you're vibing.
We sort of like I can't remember.
Emoting to each other.
I don't know if he recognised me, but he like they pretended they recognised me.
Yeah.
We had hit the Hisashiburi, which means like long time no see. So I was like, well, at least there's that.
Yeah.
They probably recognised Sam, and they were like, oh, I'm sure I've probably seen this guy before.
Yeah.
But then I ended up getting to the Black Heart at this after party, and I literally just like passed out. out. I fell asleep in the bar. I remember just waking up at like my ex's parents' place, like just like I was just
How
like,
did I get here?
Yeah, it was that I blacked out. I had nothing.
Oh
I'm not blackout from drinking, but I think like smoking the joint and stuff just put me out.
It erases your memory.
We've been drinking since like 2 p.m.
Erased all save data.
It literally did erase my save data. I just woke up and I was like, yeah. But I think that was the last time I saw them. Annoyingly, I just kept missing them when I was in Japan and stuff. We just kept missing like we were invited to a few things which didn't end up going to, annoyingly. But yeah, so fucking fun. Like those guys drink like crazy. I don't know if they still do because I haven't seen them in a while. But like,
well, they had the song Jägermeister, didn't they?
They stay true to form. Like in the green room, Teru, the DJ, just actually sat there just drinking Jaeger, like straight out of the bottle. I know he does it on stage as well, but like that's not gimmick. That's not like water or anything. Man,
it's a way of life.
He is drinking Jaeger.
They have like a Jägermeister sponsorship.
I think they were the first band to ever get sponsored by Jaeger.
Really?
I might be wrong on this, but I feel like I think the Jaeger. I think I heard this from someone. I think the Jaeger Bomb video and song came out before getting a sponsorship, and like the Jaeger liked it so much they gave him a sponsorship for
That's
it.
so
maybe
cool.
That might be like an urban legend I'm twisting, but there was something like that. Maybe they did just the song and the video was sponsored or something.
Yeah,
but like yeah, they became like the party band, and yeah, Jesus Christ, they party. But yeah, man, that was a really fun time. Like there's coolest guys to hang out with. That sounds
like some really good memories you have there. Like,
I hope I can see them again. But like I said, they
have to introduce me, man.
They were I won't say which one, but they were supposed to play a festival in the UK this year. Yeah, it was like I probably shouldn't say it, but they were supposed to headline a festival that we were going to or are going to. So I was annoying because I could have got in for free if they were going. So I was like, that's going to cost me. But like, I really want to see them again soon. Hopefully, because they're playing Japan like non-stop. Their bassist left, Hiro, left sometime
I heard
last
about
year.
That, yeah.
So like,
got any inside scoop about that?
Nah, I think it. I don't want to share anything like too personal either, but like I think it's just personal stuff. Like, but they're doing like mainly just Japan stuff now. So I'm like next time I'm there, I'm gonna hopefully try and like time it so I can go to a Crossfaith show again.
That's a good excuse to book a flight, man. It's a long old slog there. You got to have some reasons to. It's not exactly down the
but yeah, man,
down the road.
They were so sick. But yeah, let's go back to what we do best as well in terms of chatting shit. Let's get the fucking the 5-second rule game going.
All right. Yeah. Let's do it.
A little game. A little play
sure
about.
Thing.
Sick. Let's do it. Well, I'm going to try and stay as on topic as possible.
Okay.
Name 3 songs off Treehouse by Icy Stars.
Light in the Cave, Calm Snow, Break.
Man's got his Icy Stars knowledge down. I like it.
I probably could have named more. I should have flexed.
Name 25 songs in 3 seconds.
All right, I got one for you.
Go for it.
Name 3 songs from Reanimation.
With You the 4, Paper Cut with like I can't remember how to do it. I know all the songs, but I tried the stylization. Nth the End.
That probably wasn't the best one actually, because they're like they're almost
just the same thing with just like weird spelling on there. Okay, really hard. One of that say not really hard. There are 2 obvious ones if you know them, and then the rest might be tough. Name 3 of the guest artists on Reanimation.
Oh, you've asked me this before. I don't fucking know. DJ Slime? I don't know.
What the fuck is DJ Slime? Who's DJ Slime?
I think he's on Reanimation.
Oh man, the obvious ones: Jonathan Davis, Korn, fucking Aaron Lewis.
Not a DJ.
Aaron Lewis from Stained.
Did you say DJ?
Did I say DJ? Jonathan Davis from Korn.
Jonathan DJ.
And then like Steph, Motion Man or Method Man.
Oh, Method Man.
Is it Motion Man? I think it's Motion Man or Method Man.
Method Man's like an actual famous
guy. Bigger,
but Motion
Man's like his like younger brother.
Man, but yeah. Method Man's apprentice. Oh, here's a good one.
Go for it.
Name 3 places Crossfaith have played in Japan.
Kyoto Muse, also Namba Hatch, the fucking
you were so close.
I'm picking the new one I haven't been to, the one what the hell is it called, the one down by the
I probably would have
sea.
accepted like
Bayside
cities.
What the hell City, that's easy. All of them. Osaka, Tokyo, Nagoya. I was trying to get you the exact venues.
That was very good, to be fair. You only have 5 seconds.
What's the fuck I forgot it now.
I don't fucking know.
There's one
Hub.
Yeah.
There's bands actually play Hub.
No, too small. Sports goes on there. Like the World Cup. The World Cup was on when I was there. But we're not talking about football again. No. I refuse to talk about football.
No more football.
The World Cup.
We're cutting this out.
Okay, name 3 places you've thrown up from drinking too much.
District here, Blackstone Road. Oh, it was close.
Yeah, I was thinking more like venues rather than like your houses.
I couldn't think of fucking what's it called? I still can't think of it now. Where District is Coalition.
Yeah. You could add Camden.
If I got that straight away, yeah. That was too personal. It wasn't like specific enough. Sorry. I could have lied.
Am I doxing you again?
Yeah. Name 3 Korn albums.
Oh, I'm really bad with this. Really bad.
Oh, you couldn't even fucking get one, man.
Freak on a Leash.
Life is Peachy. Follow the Leader.
Follow the Leader. That's the one I'm thinking of.
Untouchables.
Yeah.
Issues.
Untouchable. That Korn song.
And what's the dubstep album one called?
I can't remember. That's what I'm trying to think of. Get Up or something like that.
No, that's a single, but it could be called Get Up.
I know so little about Korn. I'm realising. Korn Greatest Hits Volume 1, 2, 3. I think that's the album I know.
I knew you wouldn't get that one.
No, that was really hard for me. Not across Korn.
I should say Korn songs, really.
All right, name 3 songs from Ennett Shikari's album Common Dreads.
Common Dreads, Zonked, the fence, the gap in the fence, gap fence.
Gap in the fence, yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Zonked actually has 3 Zs. You didn't specify, so you don't get the
Come on. Yeah, I could have had Hectic A and Hectic B as well.
Yeah. Is there a song called Common Dreads at the intro track?
Yeah. I don't know if it's the intro.
You have Juggernauts, No Sleep Tonight.
I got it, man. So.
Oh, you have it. I'll let you have it.
You can let me have it. I got it by default.
I'll let you have it.
Name 3 A Day to Remember albums.
Oh, easy. Homesick. For Those Who Have a Heart. What Separates Me From You. Common Courtesy.
Nice.
Oh, I want to get 5.
That was good.
Old record. This is going to sound random, but this is like something we talked about recently. Name 3 Being as an Ocean songs.
I can't name one.
Name 3 We Are the Ocean songs.
I can't name one.
Name 3 Frank Ocean songs.
Pyramid, Sierra Leone, Think About You.
I can't verify that. I know nothing about Frank Ocean. No. Name 3 Ocean's 8 Alaska albums.
Hikari. I literally can't name anymore.
Name 3 oceans.
Pacific, North, Atlantic.
Is the North Ocean? Is the North Sea, isn't it? Does that count as an ocean?
I got half of it.
I'll give you that.
Thank you.
Good ocean round.
Name 3 Jack Black movies.
Oh God, Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny. The Holiday, is that the right one?
No, you fucked it.
Nacho Libre.
You got there, but it's too late.
Fight Club.
You could have had School of Rock, man. Could have had
King Kong.
King Kong, yeah.
Godzilla.
King Kong.
Okay, my Jack Black movie knowledge was not up to par.
You need to fucking revise.
I'm sure I know some more than that.
What's that one with he's got the fat girlfriend?
Elaborate.
So he thinks his girlfriend's skinny, but she's fat.
I've never heard of this movie before.
Shallow Hal. That's it.
What?
Shallow Hal. You should watch that.
You've lost me here, man. No, we're a music recommendation podcast, not a movie recommendation podcast. Oh, this is like extremely hard, but I'll be really impressed if you can do it. Okay. I actually can't remember what the answers are, but like I can tell from how confident you are whether you're making it up or not.
Okay.
So it's relevant to something we talked about earlier. From the remix album of remix EP, I think, of Stand Up and Scream by Arsenal Alexandria, name 3 of the songs that were remixed on there.
Of Stand Up and Scream. Prophecy, Final Episode.
They're the only 2 I can remember as well. There was something.
I think
else.
there was only. They were the only 2 I had.
Was it the only 2?
Well, they were the only 2 I had because I think they were the Big Chocolate ones. So I think he had one of them anyway.
I can't remember how much they did. That was a difficult one.
Stepped Up and Scratched, that's what it's called.
Stepped Up and Scratched, yeah.
I forgot to mention earlier about Big Chocolate. Like, I think he was quite pivotal in that like dubstep era.
I'm not really that across Big Chocolate.
Well, he remixed an Architect song as well.
Oh, did he? Which one?
Yeah, I can't remember. It was from the Here and Now.
Great knowledge, man. Oh, the Here and Now is like such a hated album by some people at the time. I actually kind of like it. It's
probably one of their least.
I'm a Here and Now apologist.
It's definitely their least popular.
Yeah, by far. I'm a Here and Now apologist, but like I get it. Like they they went from being like one of the hottest like metal hardcore albums ever, maybe ever of the time, to fucking just putting like a punk rock album. It's like, how did you think this was gonna go? Like, everyone loves you for this specific sound. You just can do like the complete opposite. They're trying to sell out far too quickly. Even to this day, with how big they are, their music's still heavier than the Here and Now, which says a lot for like. All right, I'll give you one more hard one then. Name 3 songs off the Here and Now.
I can't name any.
You're not a.
I don't know it very well.
I think your postcode is one of the song names. BN1. I think there's a song called BN1.
Is that?
I think so.
Really?
Am I making that up?
I think you're making that up.
Nah, man. Jamie? I feel like that's true,
check
man.
Spotify on there.
I'm gonna quickly check now. Fill the time. Say something interesting.
I'm still trying to think of one. Is it that Here and Now? Or is it?
Nah.
Is that a song?
Heartburn. I think they had what was it? Fucking
The Wall, is that one?
No. BTN, as in Brighton. BTN.
Yeah.
Learn to Live, Day in, Day Out, Delete,
Day in, Day Out. That's what I was trying. That's the one Big Chocolate remix.
Stay Young Forever. Which
if you
one?
look, the Big Chocolate's got a remix of Day in, Day Out at the bottom.
Really? I can't find it, but I'll tell you where for it. All right, man. Give me one more hard one to send us home.
All right, let's give you a hard one.
But a hard one that I could know. My hard one that you could know wasn't. I could have done better with that.
Yeah. Name 3 metalcore vocalists.
Jeremy McKinnon. How
did you fuck that up, man? That was so easy.
Do you know what it was? I got stuck. I went to say sworn in vocalist, and I said in my head, Tyler Durden, which is the name of the guy from Fight Club, and I just couldn't move on until I tried to figure out what the sworn in guy's name is. I still haven't figured it out. What's
Tyler
his name? Denon. That's it. They're such similar names.
Yeah.
My brain just got like 100% stuck on that. Too many options, man. That was a good one to end on.
Yeah.
Classic, like too many answers that are available.
Too many chefs spoil the
too many metalcore vocalists spoil the sexual assault allegations. And on that note, thank you for joining us in the Metal Lounge. It's been a good one. Remember to like and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts on the various things we talked about today. Electronic music. Do you like having electronic music in your bands? Do you wish bands would shut up and put their simps away and get back to being real bands? That's about all from me.
Thanks for checking us out. We'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.